श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् नमः श्री शङ्करानन्द गुरुपादाम्बुजन्मने सविलासमहामोह ग्राहग्रासैककर्मणे. Okay, so in the last class, after the introduction was over, we have come and seen the Anubandha Chatushtayam, means the fourfold introduction to the text. That any good text in terms of our Shastra will give this fourfold introduction as to who is the qualified student, Adhikari, what is the subject, that is the Vishaya of the text, and Prayojana, result. So if I read any text associated with this, what is the result that I can expect at the end of that particular study? And the fourth one, I mentioned we normally don't do that, but in general terms, Sambandha or Bodhya Bodhaka Sambandha, that is how it was told, that the text and the subject matter, how they are related. So these are the four is called as Anubandha Chatushtayam. And we have seen that the first verse actually gives this. And this particular verse we will be using as a prayer because that is what it is supposed to be. Yeah. So whatever I have read just now, Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padambu Janmane Savila Samaha Moha Graha Grasaika Karmani. So we have gone into, I think, quite a bit of a detail in the last class in terms of almost word to word meaning that we have seen. Yeah. So generally, worshipful attitude towards Guru is always recommended, not only recommended, it is a requirement. When you study something of a nature which is not directly related to the knowledge that we acquire with our senses. Suppose there is something, sugar is there in front of you. Whether Guru is there or not, the moment you can put that sugar in your mouth, the knowledge of that particular object kind of automatically takes place, that the sugar is sweet. Yeah? So the nature of that particular object in terms of the sense, the perception that we have, automatically kind of happens in the objective world outside. However, when we are looking at a Shastra, the subject is always Brahman. And Brahman is something who is beyond senses because the very senses are born because of him. So the parent quality which is there, parental cause which is there, can never be understood by a child which came out of that kind of. Yeah. So, for example, H2O, a water, can never understand what is the nature of the cause of hydrogen and oxygen. Yeah? That type of this one. Not a 100% example in this particular case, but just to give you an idea that the entire Antakaranam is the inner instrument of mind, intellect, memory, and ahankara, ego. Yeah? So essentially what we are looking at is that a guru becomes an entity which is a requirement, mandatory requirement when you attain such knowledge. And such a guru, with fortunately for us, are available in terms of videos, in terms of this in our present days. But in previous, where such technology was not available, the students required to go to the guru, yeah, wherever that guru is. And word used to go around, where there were universities in Takshashila, Nalanda, even in Kerala, there were many universities that are there where every known student from anywhere in the country used to go there. So that particular thing was always there in Bharat, essentially. Anyway, what it means is actually when we talk about worshipful attitude towards Guru's feet, yeah, Guru Padambu Janmani. So that we have seen that already. Here, the seeker is like a small child. Yeah, what it means is, suppose when a child is born when he is just 1 year, 2 years old, moving around, but in fours rather than twos, and mother just leaves, or parents just leave them on the ground for making that locomotion possible, and for the child to learn how to move around. And you can imagine that such a small child who is moving around, for that child, the feet of the mother are the only thing that are visible. So here the seeker feels like he is a child learning from a guru, like a parents who are around. And for such a seeker, only feet of the guru are visible. Uh, this is a theory. This is a kind of a understanding one must have. Reverence towards feet means like a child who can see only feet of the mother and learns. Whatever the child learns, from that angle only, child learns the maximum from the parents. So like that, what we say is that Guru Padambu Janmani, that particular Guru's feet are the only recourse for us to gain the knowledge that I can get, because I feel like a child in front of Guru with respect to the knowledge that he is capable of giving. That is how this particular thing must be really looked at. Yeah? And Adhikari, we have seen very quickly, Namaha is the word that is used, and this is the worshipful attitude that we talked about. Yeah? So Adhikari is the one who is having that type of an attitude of reverence and attitude to learn, not just question for the sake of questioning that particular guru. Yeah. So complete ego surrendered and at the feet of the guru. That is another way to look at that particular aspect which is described in the very first verse. And we have seen Vishaya is indicated by the word Shankarananda. Shankara Ananda. Ananda is part of that Sat Chit Ananda, which is the Jiva's original nature. Brahman's original nature is described as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, whereas a particular Jiva's, this one, true aspect of Jiva is supposed to be and described as Sat Chit and Ananda. Yeah? So this Ananda aspect is indicated here, and Shankara happens to be Guru of Swami Vidyaranyji, who wrote this Panchadashi. And Guru always happens to be Ishvara. For anybody, any one of us, Gurudev we call Swami Chinmayananda. So we don't address him by name. He always remains Gurudev for us. So he is equivalent to Ishvara as far as the Chinmaya Mission people are concerned. So Shankarananda, the term combining these two, joining these two, indicates to you what is the Vishaya. And a very apt Mahavakya which relates to this aspect of Jiva and Ishvara Aikyam is Tat Tvam Asi. So that is what this particular text will be looking at, as to who is the Jiva, what is the nature of the Jiva, what is the true nature of Jiva, and how that nature of Jiva can be linked with the nature of the Brahman. So that Tat becomes Tvam and Asi is equivalent associated with these two. Yeah? So this Tattvamasi is the indicated by the word of Shankarananda. Yeah. So this and the Prayojana obviously is destruction of the ignorance because as a jiva, I don't see that equality with Brahman. So we are looking at the prayojana of complete understanding and study of this text. One will be gaining that experience of Jiva Ishvara or Jiva Brahma Aikyam. So this is what we have seen in the last class, and one of the things is in terms of Ambuja word is very very relevant, which is the lotus we have seen, yeah, and the importance of lotus in our shastras is can never be underestimated, so to say. Yeah, we have seen that Lakshmi Devi is sitting on a lotus. Brahmaji sits on a lotus. So all the knowledge, wealth associated with the entire universe actually sits on the lotus. So the idea is lotus is always considered representing the highest consciousness available in the world that we experience. That is how the lotus flower is taken, and like lotus flower, which hides the nectar deep inside, which is only available for a bee that comes from outside, is how we have described a student, a seeker who comes to Guru to suck out the nectar of knowledge hidden deep inside the mind of the Guru. Yeah? That is how it is taken as this one, and very wonderful representation of this is in Andhra Pradesh. There is one Shiva Kshetra called Sri Sailam. In that, the mother goddess is referred to as Brahmarambika, and Shiva is represented by Mallikarjuna. Mallika is jasmine flower, similar nature, like a lotus, yeah, very nectar hidden deep inside. And this Brahmara is the bee. So this bee comes and sucks the nectar out of Mallikarjuna, is a representative symbolism that is there in this particular kshetra, very, very old Shiva temple, which is there, which I am talking about. So this is the concept, basically, there in many, many symbolic aspects, both in Shastras as well as in various temples that you see across Bharat. Yeah. And one more important word that we have seen is Savilasa. That means that Maya somehow expresses into this universe. How that does is a mystery in itself. Shankaracharya has written a wonderful 5 stanza poem called Maya Panchakam. In that Maya Panchakam, he describes this Mahamaya as Aghatita Ghatana Fatiyasi Maya. Means that Aghatita Ghatana, that particular instance which should never have expressed or happened or manifested, somehow seems to be manifest. Aghatita Ghatana Patiyasi Maya. And this happens because of this entity whom we refer to as Maya. This is how we described in Maya Panchakam. So the word Savilasa, aptly chosen by Vidyaranaji to bring out that particular fact, this entire creation that you are seeing, that means including Jiva. In fact, he describes 2 verses down the line. We're not going to too much detail, but entire universe that created happened, somehow it seems to have happened and manifested, which if you start digging deep, you will end up with only questions and questions. That is how the Maya is described, and a wonderful, wonderful word called Savilasa is used by Swamiji here. Yeah? And we have seen Mahamoha is like that crocodile or an alligator is called Graha. And this Graha eats anything that comes in front of it. And if it catches, it is impossible to kind of get out of that particular grip of the alligator. So this Maya and Jiva, they are of that relations. So Maya, once it caught you, it is so very difficult to go out of it. One is the grip is too strong. Second is there is pain associated. And this is exactly how the samsara is described by the by any of the text and Swamijis. Samsara is described as only the pain. Pain need not necessarily be only pain in terms of this. Even so-called joy is a pain in the long term. Yeah? That is how Shankaracharya describes the impact of this Maya. Yeah. So the crocodile represents this, and we have seen that in Bhagavad Puran there is something called a Gajendra Moksha. Means in that Gajendra is elephant. When the elephant is caught by this crocodile, and that particular elephant starts praying to Lord Vishnu. And Vishnu Murti at that particular time, he leaves, it is described in Bhagavatam that he left Lakshmi, he left his Sudarshan Chakra, he left everything that is there, and he started running to save this elephant, who happens to be a great bhakta, is the description that is given. So it's again symbolic. Really speaking, it doesn't happen physically, although in our pictures and all, they visualize this and they show it also. But the idea is that the crocodile represents that Mahamaya that is there, and the Jivatma, once it is caught, and the only way to get out of that is to plead to that particular Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu will come with what? He comes with the Sudarshana Chakra. So Sudarshana. Darshana is, you go to a temple, you take darshan of Ishvara or Devi, whoever is there, God who is there, you take darshana. Sudarshana is the utmost vision that one can have. He is nothing but the Upadesha, or the knowledge of the Vedas or Upanishads. So this Sudarshana is the one which will release the elephant out of the grip of this crocodile. That is how Bhagavatam describes the story of Gajendra Moksham. And Gajendra is, it's not told that Gajendra will get a release from the grip and release from this. It is named as Moksham. And we all know what the moksha is. Yeah. So it's very, very clear symbolically what they mean. Here we are looking at that Guru's feet is nothing but that particular Sudarshana Chakra. So the moment you have an unhindered view of that darshana, of that Guru's feet, that Guru's feet will act as Sudarshana for you to get over the grip of this Maya and get moksha. How wonderfully these symbolic stories are there. We go with the story, but symbolism behind is very, very fascinating once we go into the details. And by using these same terms here, Graha Grasaika Karmani, how he has brought out that the Guru's only job, he says, is to eat off this ignorance. So when the like a Guru's feet, Sudarshana Chakra will slay the crocodile, here Guru's only job, he is telling, is to eat the ignorance away. That means he is providing the knowledge. See, when the sunlight is there, when somebody is there with a torchlight also, goes into a very dark cave which was never lighted up in millions of years, but one small deepam or a torch can go inside, then the darkness will simply melt away. Because light and darkness can never be together. And a guru who is nothing but dispeller of the darkness, he has a similar impact on the darkness of ignorance that is there inside. So very, very clear. The importance of the guru in terms of this journey is being told by Vijayanandji in no uncertain terms. Yeah. So we will go into the second verse now. Yeah. Just give me a second. Sorry. Okay. Tatpadamburuhadvandva Seva nirmala chetasam Seva nirmala chetasam Sukhabodhaya tattvasya विवेकोऽयं विधीयते तत्पादाम्बुरुहद्वन्द्व सेवा निर्मलचेतसाम् सुखबोधाय तत्त्वस्य विवेकोऽयं विधीयते. So here again importance of Guru, because we are looking at the first two stanzas in this particular chapter gives you Mangala Charanam. Means we have seen there is a prayer, and also it gives you Anubandha Chatushtayam, which we were trying to describe in the verse 1. Now he is telling that Tatpada Dvandva. Dvandva is two. Dvandva is two, and Tatpada. Tat is your, means what? Gurus. The Guru's 2 feet. Pada means feet. Yeah. So the 2 feet of Guru, Amburuha, we have already seen that it is representative of the lotus. Means actually Ambu is water. Amburuha is that grows in water, that springs up in water, is representative. Many things spring up, but normally we represent lotus with this word when it comes to Shastras. Yeah. And Seva Nirmala Chetasam. This Seva is service. So this service that you provide to the 2 feet of the Guru. Yeah. And what does it do? We may get a doubt, because in most of our Shastras, you see that, for example, in Prashnopanishad, the Rishi is called Pippalada, and there are 6 students who come to gain knowledge, and they are at different levels. Yeah, they are different levels. And when they come, and why did they come? Because Pippalada had that name associated, that he is a good guru who can give you the knowledge. Obviously, that's why people go to specific universities, even in current day. Yeah. So when the 6 students came to Pippalada and asked for that, he said, okay, you stay here in the ashram for 1 year, and at the end of it, you can ask your questions. And if I know the answer, I will give you I will give that particular knowledge and make sure that I will never hide. This is the answer Pippalada gives. Imagine, for 1 year, they are asked to stay and serve, and at the end of it, there is no guarantee. He says, if I know, I will tell. So that implies a very huge aspect that they put on the importance, name of the Guru. Not only that, the faith and Shraddha one needs to have when they go to approach these Gurus who are in a position to give you the knowledge. Yeah. So here, when we talk about this one, he is telling that I am writing this particular text, because here it is not a one-to-one. This one, he has written a book or a text, and through text he becomes Guru, and we all become his students. So he is telling why he wrote this text in this way. He says Sukha Bodhaya, means for convenient understanding. And believe me, when you go through the text, you will see not only this particular chapter, but any of the chapters you take, very, very clear in terms of providing very clear understanding of the subject. He never leaves anything for chance that okay, this is very clear, so he will understand. No. He will clarify. It is as if like he is opening banana, not only opening, but he is putting it into the mouth, making sure you swallow it. That's how he actually approaches this particular text, and he makes it very clear why he is writing. He says Sukha Bodhaya, for convenient understanding, for a progressive understanding. So when Sukha Bodhaya, suppose somebody is giving a knowledge of chemistry and or a physics, for example, and he puts everything in one particular class and completes everything. So it is not Sukha Bodhaya anymore. Very, very difficult for people to have that kind of a concentration and this one to absorb everything that is being told by the teacher. So he is very clearly telling I am writing this for the convenient and progressive understanding is the indicated by this word Sukha Bodhaya. Yeah? And why we say that service to the Guru will provide us necessary moksha. Actually, what service will do, he says, is Nirmala Chetasam. Chetasam, Nirmala Chetasam is a very clean chit, means mind. Very clean mind is what will be the result of the service that we are providing to the Guru. Yeah. So when you say Sukhabodhaya Tattvasya Tattvasya Vivekoyam, means Tattva is the very essence. So this entire first chapter is called Tattva Viveka. So knowledge of the Tattva, the essence of the Brahman is being given in this particular chapter. The very name of that is indicated by Tattva Viveka. Here says this Tattva Viveka, this discrimination. Viveka obviously is discrimination. And whenever we hear, for example, some of the texts talk about eyes. Yeah. When they say Chakshuhu, automatically the word Chakshuhu includes all the five sense organs. Similarly, when he talks about Viveka discrimination, automatically the fourfold sadhana chatushtayam comes into picture. Viveka, Vairagya, Samadama, Samadamadi, Shat Sampatti, the six mental inclinations one need to develop, and Mumukshutvam is the burning desire for liberation. So this is what a student required to develop as an attitude when they approach the Guru. Not everybody will be in the same level. Obviously, we are all at different levels. We all know that. And when we approach a Guru, we do it from our own angle. Yeah, from our own. There is nothing wrong. There is nothing advanced or this one. Never take it that way. Yeah. In fact, the Guruji used to say, people who come from after studying with other gurus, means other schools of thought, etc., they are burdened with unlearning whatever they have learned. Whereas a fresh student who has come is open to the knowledge that is being given by the Guru. So you can treat it that way, that there is nothing like advanced student or fresher who is joining. Fresher, sometimes Guruji says, has got a better advantage because his slate is clean. You don't require to rub off and then Guru need to write anything on the slate once again. Yeah? So this Tattvasya Vivekoyam, this discrimination, that is being inquired into. What type of discrimination one need to do to gain this knowledge of Tattva Viveka, that discrimination of the Tattva, what should be done is being described in this particular text. So both these two verses, first two verses, are the ones which will actually give you as to the importance of the text, subject of the text, who is the appropriate student who will gain some benefit. Not that others need not read or anything like that, but maximum benefit will come with people who have certain attitudes. One great advantage of people in Chinmaya Mission, we are already exposed to all this and we have been into the path. Yeah, so that is one great advantage we all have. But at the same time, attitude of humility and faith. Humility is very, very first foremost requirement, I should say. Just because I am with mission for 25 years doesn't mean anything if I start having a pride associated with that. Yeah? And similarly, faith. Shraddha forms the corner of the learning associated with this. And that is nothing unique to only Advaita Vedanta. Really speaking, it is nothing unique. You go to a physics class or a chemistry class, it doesn't matter. Whatever class you are going, even social studies, history, if you don't have the faith in teachers' knowledge of providing that particular this one, you will sleep in the class. You have no interest in that particular this one because you are not sure what is being told is truth or a lie. If you go with that attitude to any class, nothing can be learned. But when do we say that this particular thing is, we will start learning, is only when we have at least Shraddha. Shraddha is loosely translated as faith, but in our Shastras, because you see the nature of our knowledge, how it is set up, is always a student asking questions. Arjuna has asked hundreds of questions in Bhagavad Gita. Each chapter will end with only question, starts with question, and Krishna will keep on answering. So it doesn't mean that he doesn't have faith in Krishna's word. But as a student, if I don't understand, I have a right to clarify that. And that is what the Guru brings in, that his Brahmanishta and also the scriptural knowledge. These two a Guru brings to the table in order to answer the questions that the students will put in. So that Shraddha is only up to the level of accepting whatever is being told by this Guru is the truth. However, when I want to test that, and I am allowed to do so whenever I am ready in terms of my own antakaranam or inner instrument, and whenever I require to test that, that the same results that the Guru is talking about is available to me as well. So if somebody comes and tells, I have never visited Himalayas, for example, yeah, or Alps, I have never visited, let us say. I did, but suppose indicate that I never visited Himalayas. And somebody comes and tells us that, oh, it's such a wonderful place, beautiful place, everywhere you see snow and snow, etc., etc., describes in many, many words. If the source is something whom we believe, yeah, and automatically I have Shraddha that such a place exists, and that place is very, very beautiful, like what is being described. But it doesn't end there. Yeah? The faith in Shraddha, when we talk about, it allows me to go to same place with the knowledge that is provided by that particular person who has seen and come back. And I also experience the same Himalayas in a similar fashion. If you go after 20 years, may not be in this example, but in case of Shastras, for us, there is absolutely no difference between the experience of that Guru who has gone through, and out of infinite karuna, he is actually asking us to take the same path that he has already taken, and the same experience is available at the end of the path that we look at. And what is the path? Very clear in this particular case. Viveka starts with discrimination. So the in Tattva Bodha and all, we have already seen that this is fourfold sadhana called sadhana chatushtayam. So Viveka is the discrimination of what is the truth and what is the not truth. We won't say lie, but truth and not truth. So mithya and satyam. This discrimination always you apply for every experience that you come across, is how the Viveka is described. And once you start recognizing the truth in this particular world, and you recognize the truth where it exists, automatically you are pushed into a vairagya, or the vairagya is like a detachment, automatically comes. So detachment, if it is forced onto the mind, very, very difficult for a person to continue with that vairagya. I may do it for 2-3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months if I have a strong this one. But if I don't really believe from inside, if that viveka is not there, the detachment will disappear. Yeah, very, very clear. When others are not seeing, I may do things because I cannot detach myself fully from the sense experiences that are there associated. But if the detachment comes out of discrimination, it is something which is non-returnable. Yeah, you are on the path. You are on the path of sadhana. And 6 mental inclinations of sama, dama, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, samadhana, I won't go into details. Anybody who wants to understand these terms more can read the Tattvabodha very quickly. Easy to understand. Yeah, Samadhamadi, Shat Sampatti. Shat is 6. Sampatti is a wealth. So that wealth of inclinations that we require to develop are essential. And fourth one is mumukshutvam. That means a desire for moksha. If that is not there, very, very difficult to tread the path till the end. Still you may come some way, but these four is what Shankaracharya actually talks about. Yeah, Shamadamadi, Sat Sampatti, and Mumuksha. So we are looking at that a guru will be there, and when we talk about a service, actually it is not that we go and press his feet or do a massage. Of course, you can do that as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when we talk about service to the guru, it is actually the student developing that pure heart, looking at that guru and learning from the way that guru behaves. Yeah, how he behaves and how I learn those qualities from the guru becomes the service in itself. Yeah, gaining the knowledge that he is trying to impart becomes a service in itself. Of course, once you understand this, you do a physical service also to the guru. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, that is what will give you nirmala chetasa. That clear mind associated with that service will come in only when you go through this particular aspect in terms of the service that you provide to the guru. So in a virtual world, what can I do? Because the guru is not in front of me to do the service. You accept that guru is there in front of you, and you maintain the associated lifestyle in such a way that you always feel the guru's presence in front of you. You may not be fortunate enough, but you can also have a guru who is nearby, whom you can actually service as well. Yeah, but understanding that the it's an attitude, not a physical thing per se. Once you have that pure heart that you are gaining, nirmala chetasam that you are doing, how do you know that you have achieved? Because these things, people use these terms very um, chitta shuddhi, nirmala chetasam, any of this which is there are used quite often. But how do I know for myself that I am on the right path? If somebody asks, people say that there are 6 negative impacts of the various transactions that you have with the world in your mind. Yeah, we have seen that already. Yeah? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. So these negative tendencies which are there, extreme desires for many of the objects, yeah, and anger, greed, delusion, etc., etc. Those 6 which are there, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, are very common. Yeah? Again, if you have any doubts, Tattvabodha or any entry-level text will give you a very detailed definitions of all this. You can go through them as well. Yeah. So the idea is that when you impartially study yourself and the nature of your mind at the end of the day, every day, how many times today I got angry? What is the reason why I got angry? How many times I start becoming jealous of people around, or something I heard, someone about whom I heard? If you start analyzing, dissecting, and that's why we call it as vivek, once you start doing that, it actually gives you a very good idea of the progress that you are achieving in this path. At the end of the day, if you are able to say that I was better than what I was with respect to these, say 6 months down the line or 6 months before, to compare to now, I am able to control all these emotions much, much better. You are on the right path. Or if that becomes too difficult, says the easiest way to understand that you are on the right path will be the impact of assessment with respect to raga and dvesha. Means your desire and also your hate. If suppose you are hating some people continuously, and if you are not in a position to control that hatred, that means uh, you are some way away from achieving this nirmala chetasa, this chitta shuddhi that we are talking about. Similarly, the raga, the desires associated with that. But raga and dvesha are actually not directly related to the desire, but they are related to the impact of the actions that you have taken. Suppose you have taken certain action with achieving some result or a goal, and the result that has come across is not as per your liking. So you start hating that result associated with that. Or if it worked out quite well, you start enjoying the result also equally well. So as long as that raga dvesha, that swing is too huge of that pendulum that goes like this, your ability of achieving the goal is that much lower and lower. While on the path, whether it is 6 negative tendencies or this raga dvesha that I am describing are inevitable. So don't feel bad at the end of the day that it is not good enough. I am not good enough. No, I am good enough for the level at which I am. I am trying to control that. But there should be a continuous progress with respect to these feelings that you are getting. How do you measure that again? Suppose I get jealous, because it is very natural for a human being to get jealous from time to time. You may compare yourself with others and say that, oh, this particular fellow is not as good as me, but I am not gaining what I should be, etc., etc. There can be many feelings of jealousy that is there. Yeah, right from very mundane things to the very high aspects which are there. But when these feelings come to you, if that feeling is you are able to overcome that in a quicker way. Suppose that jealousy feeling ran for months together before, I am able to get over that particular feeling within 15 days, is a big progress. If that feeling comes and a fleeting feeling is just like that disappearing, that means I am in the very advanced path when it comes to that. So this particular aspect which is there, just like that I am developing viveka, vairagya, shama shama, sat sampatti and mukshutvam. The measure is on how you are able to achieve these goals of chitta shuddhi. So nirmala chetasam becomes a very important term in this particular discipline. Yeah. So the viveka, now we may ask as to in this particular text, how will I go through this? Because uh, there should be a measure onto which I will then apply this vivek. So here in this particular text, we will see as we move forward that Swamiji will be giving the same viveka, the application of the viveka in terms of pancha kosha vivek. So again, pancha koshas are there in Tattvabodha. I think we have already gone through that particular this one. Annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, and anandamaya kosha. 5 koshas are described in our this one, and they can be linked to 3 different bodies. We have seen that gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. That is how it is described. Yeah. I think this is very clear as to the physical body is Annamaya Kosha or Stula Sharira. I think this we can relate it very clear that this particular Annamaya Kosha made up of 5 elements. All the 5 elements are there in this Stula Sharira. And this Sharira is called Annamaya Kosha. What is Anna? Anna means food. So if you eat food, this body is sustained. If I stop eating food, the body is gone. So it is very clear one-to-one cause-effect relation between food and the physical body. And one can easily see this. Yeah? A lion which cannot hunt for its food you can see that it becomes thin and it will die away. The body will die away. So very, very clear one cause-effect relation between Annamaya Kosha and food, and that's why it's called Annamaya Kosha. Pranamaya Kosha is something which actually gives you the very spark of life. That's why it is called Prana. So the life and sentiency that you feel in the body and mind is provided by the prana, and this prana expresses in different physiological functions of prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. Again, these particular things are more like one is for breath, other is for expression, other is circulation, digestion, and udana vayu is something which helps you with upward movement. So for hiccups that come across or vomit that comes across, or even the prana when it leaves the body, this udana prana will help you to take out the jiva out of the body, is the very specific function of this udana prana which is there. Okay? But anyway, this is called pranamaya kosha. Manomaya kosha is the mind associated with that, and all emotions fall under this. And Vijnanamaya Kosha is the intellectual sheath which is there, means it is one step above mind, which is more Nischayatmika Buddhi, it's called. Means it is deterministic in its nature. Is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. Anandamaya Kosha, these three complete your subtle body. And when you come to Anandamaya Kosha, is nothing but your causal body, which you experience in your deep sleep. So in deep sleep, which has got complete ignorance, that ignorance is the cause, and it is hence it's called as the causal body. Now, why I have told you all this is because when you apply discrimination from the book that is available as Panchadashi, he will be looking at as to how you apply this discrimination at these 5 levels of your experience. Don't think these koshas are somewhere else. These are all your own experiences. Either it can be an experience of your waking world, your experience of your dream world when only subtle body functions, or it is experience your deep sleep, where only the causal body is the one which you experience, and uniform experience in your deep sleep that I don't know anything about this world. I don't even know me. So even this so-called mind that we are talking about, Antakaranam, completely gone. Yeah, it is not available for you to for this particular experience in your deep sleep, and that becomes your original cause. So the so-called ignorance is your moola, you can say the very deep-rooted cause for the entire creation that manifests in your dream and waking worlds. So this Panchakosha Viveka, or the knowledge of these 5 sheets, Swamiji gives, and automatically he also says that the experience that you are gaining through these 5 koshas is somehow is the what Maya or Mithya that we are talking about. Yeah. So this Panchakosha Viveka is how the approach will be in this particular text taken by Swami Vidyaranya. And how does he does that? He does this using the yukti and anubhuti. See, in our shastras, what they say is we call that as pramana. Yeah, you have seen that pratyaksha pramana, anumana pramana, etc., etc. We have already seen all that. So this pramana is the means of knowledge that you apply to gain a particular aspect of the knowledge that you are gaining. For example, for you to see something, eyes become the pratyaksha pramana. For you to hear something, the ears become pratyaksha pramana. If your eyes are not there for some reason, that particular pramana is not available for you to experience the world outside. Okay? Similarly, all the 5 senses which are there becomes pratyaksha pramana. But not all my knowledge comes from only seeing and this one. So there can be anumana. And anumana comes from the Nyaya philosophy, where we see a smoke coming out a faraway place in a mountain, and we know for a fact that there must be a fire there. I have not seen the fire from here. I am only seeing the smoke, but fire is what I infer from the experience that I'm directly gaining. So that becomes Anuman. So like this, there are different aspects of that. One that we gain that knowledge of Brahman is referred to as Shabda Pramana, or the what I hear rather than I see, or it's not a direct this one because it is beyond the current purview of our senses. It is beyond our senses, and hence I I have to accept somebody else's word whom I believe. And in this case, it becomes Guru. Yeah? So here he says Shastra and Yukti and Anubhuti. My own experience, my own, it should not be illogical for my own understanding, and Shruti, the associated Upanishad or Vakya, Tattvamasi, for example. These can be examples of that. You can apply all these three, and then the actual we gain the knowledge associated. So Shruti anyway is there. We cannot, we don't have the experience of the word. We are accepting whatever rishis are telling or told is the right thing and the truth. With that Shraddha, I am approaching this particular class, for example. Yeah. And when I do this with Yukti and Anubhuti. Means what? It should be in within the purview of the logic that is associated, and it also should be something which I can experience myself. Anubhuti means experience. Yukti means logic. And how to achieve these particular aspects, Vijaya starts describing in the text from now on. Yep. And verse 3 onwards, actually very, very important verses from 3 to 10. Vijaya describes the fundamental aspects of Vedanta. How one must understand consciousness, how one must understand the various terms associated with our experience, how I can understand the Jiva Brahma Aikyam. You can imagine the highest knowledge possible. Vijaya starts with that. Very, very similar approach you will find in most of the texts. Yeah. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, first chapter, nobody bothers. It is just an introduction that Arjuna Vishada Yoga, of course. Yeah, we all know. But from 11th verse of second chapter, that Sankhya Yoga, which is there, where verse after verse, Krishna introduces the highest knowledge possible to Arjuna. In fact, they say that if Arjuna understood the second chapter verse by verse, word by word, sentence by sentence, whatever you take, if he understood there, Gita would have ended with chapter 2. It is fortunate for us that Arjuna started asking questions at the end of it. So it went into 18 chapters for our sake. Yeah, Krishna continued to explain all this associated with the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, chapter 2 is over. That's good enough. That's what Gurudev and Guruji used to say in their lectures on Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, here, verse 3 to 10 deal with the highest Vedanta knowledge that is possible of Brahma, Jiva, Aikyam. But fortunately for us, again, it doesn't stop there. It goes into, because our experience of the Brahman always starts from at what place we are. Yeah, we are in a place of ignorance. Now I want to move from a place of ignorance to a place of knowledge. And obviously, this takes quite a bit of a journey and understanding of why I am feeling like this at this particular stage. And remember, he always uses Viveka, discrimination, Yukti, and Anubhuti. Very, very clearly, he gives all these aspects associated with this one. Yeah. So from 3 to 10, he will actually give you Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam. Yeah. And we have seen that the true nature is always described as Sat Chit Ananda. Yeah, we have seen that particular this one. So we will see in this particular 3 to 10 how he approaches is he describes the experience of a jiva and how one must understand the true nature of the jiva through the experiences one feels in this particular life. And he equates that in fact, he proves kind of that the consciousness that I am experiencing in this world is infinite by nature, and which in turn is my true nature. And once he says that I am of that Sat Chit Ananda aspects which are associated with that, and this he explains through the experiences that a jiva goes through. That means you and I go through step by step. And since the same nature is described in Shastras, because I said Shastra, Yukti, and Anubhuti. Since Shastra says that Ishvara is also of the type of Satchidananda, nature of Satchidananda, I must essentially be of the same nature because I am established as of the nature of consciousness, reality, experience, and the Ananda, which is the joy. And he proves that for Jiva and then takes help of the Shastra to equate these two and say that they are one and the same. So we'll go into the verse 3 and 3 to 10, very, very important verses for all of us to understand them in detail. Yeah? What is the nature of the consciousness? Very, very beautifully he explains. Shabda Sparshadayo Vedya Vaichitya Jagare Pratak Tato Vibhakta Tat Samvid Aikya Rupyanna Bhidyate. This is how the verse 3 goes. Very shortly to talk about this, he actually is telling that all experiences that you are feeling are nothing but coming from the 5 sense objects. Again, the sense objects are linked to the 5 koshas associated with that. And to perceive them, I don't require n number of consciousnesses. Consciousness always remains as one single entity. That is how it says, Aikya Rupyanna Vidyate. It is always experienced as one single experience, is how the this particular text will take from verse 3 on. So we'll stop here. I will close the class and then let us see if any specific questions are there. Either we can answer now by extending a bit, or we can take it up in the next class. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Please let me know if I have to stop the class.